Bunch of new people, so let me just explain this to you once a month. Almost every month I do this. I try to just break down some of the news things that have gone on that affect real estate investors, creative investors, stuff that might impact your business. Kind of just give you an overview, 30,000-foot view of some of the things that are going on in the market. The first thing is the beginning of the end of Dodd-Frank. Now we've been talking about this ever since it passed, and you guys, those of you that are involved in maybe owner financing properties or lease optioning properties, or maybe you're in the lending business and you've run into CFPB and some of the NMLS rules and all that, some of that stuff, those acronyms might mean nothing to you, and if so, that's fine. You'll learn it as we go, but there have been a lot of challenges for some investors because of Dodd-Frank, and I think that any of us that are in the real estate game or in the real estate investing business, we understand some regulation is good. Over-regulation is not. And I think most fair-minded people, not all, I understand that very good people can disagree on topics, but I think most fair-minded people, especially those that are in the real estate business, felt like this was a little bit of an overreach as far as the regulation is concerned. And so I believe we have kind of come to close to the beginning of the end. The House of Representatives, H.R. 10 was passed on June 8th. Just a few weeks ago. It was the Financial Choice Act of 2017. It passed 233 to 186. Anybody want to guess how many Democrat votes there were? 0. That's right. We're not doing a whole lot on a bipartisan basis these days, but it did pass, and it aimed to weaken the CFPB, which I feel was probably a good thing, but we'll see how it comes out of the Senate. As you guys know, if you watch the news and have seen the healthcare thing, what comes out of the House isn't always what comes out of the Senate, but this doesn't have as much angst to it. I think that they'll probably get something passed, and we will see at least some rollback as far as the regulations are concerned with Dodd-Frank. Second thing is just, this could be good news. We'll get to the but here in just a second, but home equity has hit a new high. That can be a good thing, can be a bad thing. We'll see how lenders react if they start giving 110% home equity loans for you to start using your home as an ATM machine and buy things you don't need and go on vacations you shouldn't go on. We will see how that works out. But home equity, this does affect real estate investors, and that's why I want to kind of point this out to you. It can affect your marketing and affect how the different types of lists that you go after, the different properties that you go after. But equity is up $766 billion. This, of course, nationwide. That's not just mine and Ron's house. But that is from the first quarter of 2016 to the first quarter of 2017. So in just 1 year, Americans' equity has gone up $766 billion. Now, to take that down to just a personal level, that's an average nationwide of about $14,000 in equity per house. Okay, now the reason why I think this is important for investors to understand is if you do marketing, right? I don't care if you're even just a buy and hold guy that's just looking for a decent cash flow property. I still think it's crazy if you just go to the MLS, okay? And I think it's crazy if you just rely on wholesalers. I mean, it's great if you just want to do that and you kind of want to take the easy way, and that's fine if you're happy. But I just think even just the most simplistic marketing plan, and you could be getting a lot better deals and a lot better cash flow and just kind of building wealth a lot faster. And so through that is understanding that, because there was a lot of times when we used to do direct mail, we would only want to send letters to people who had bought their house before 2005. Because in 2005 now they've paid too much for the house, they've leveraged it way too high, they've got big debt on it, and so now there's no way we can even buy those houses. So why even send them a letter unless we're really into the short sale business, right? But now those homes that were 05 to 07, the equity has come back, the prices have gone way up, which we'll even look at how much the prices have gone up just here in Pensacola in just a moment. The prices have gone up, and now if they haven't refinanced it, we've got 10, 12 years of debt reduction that have taken place. And so now some of these mailing lists of 05 to 07 purchases may be viable, may have equity. They may be deals that maybe had very slim equity, but now over the last couple of years, you can go back to a list that maybe you abandoned because it wasn't working for you, or a list you never pulled, from a couple years ago that now today has equity that didn't before. That's one thing. Or another thing to consider is if maybe it had a little bit of negative equity, over the last couple years, that's turned into a property that has enough equity for maybe you to do a subject to deal or to do something creative. Whereas a couple years ago, that couldn't be done. And you should focus your marketing that way, because for the last 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, these people have felt like, these sellers have felt like there's no equity in their property. So it's a waste of time. If you sent them a card and said, hey, I'd like to buy your house, they just throw it in the trash. Why? I can't sell it. I got negative equity. I don't even have anything. I couldn't even sell it. So today, if you send them a card, it needs to say something like, think you have no equity? Think you have no options? think again. Give me a call today, I can buy your house. Something like that, and I bet there are some opportunities in that group because equity really has come back faster and more furious than some of these sellers even know, and there could be some opportunities there that you should go after. Okay, but here's one issue that's facing the real estate market is that home ownership remains at a 50-year low. And these are some of the things that we need to keep an eye on and pay attention to because certainly that could have an impact on the real estate market. There was a study commissioned, I believe that NAR commissioned it, the National Association of Realtors, trying to find why is home ownership, even though the market seems to be improving, prices are improving, why is home ownership staying so low? And so they commissioned a report and they found that there were 5 main reasons why there still seem to be so few people jumping off of the bench and getting into the buying game. Number 1, post-foreclosure disorder. Some people went through a foreclosure and even though their credit is back, they've just kind of given up on home ownership. Then maybe they don't know that they could get finance, or maybe they just don't want to go down that road again. Or they were kids of some, maybe they were 16, 17, 18 years old, 10 or 12 years ago. They watched their parents go through a foreclosure. They watched the guy show up at the door and post the thing and kick them out of their house, and they're like, I ain't never doing that, we're just going to rent, right? And so there is some lingering effects, psychological in many ways, of why some of our younger millennial generation doesn't want to buy a house. Number 2, higher credit standards. We've certainly seen some of that back off in the last 5 years or so, but it still is a little bit more difficult to get a loan than it was when all you had to do was breathe and show that the mirror fogged up and they'd give you a loan, right? Number 3, student loan debt is insane right now, and that is keeping some of our college graduates of the last 5 or 10 years from being able to buy a house. Some of the loan debt is staggering. I'm sure you guys are educated, you know about it. College loan expenses have just gone outrageously way higher than incomes have arisen, or appreciation, or inflation, or anything. It's just gone crazy, right? Because of that, many of these students have taken on huge amounts of debt, and it's keeping them from being able to buy. Number 4, housing affordability is down. Number 5, there are supply shortages, and that's of course lending to housing affordability. So those things are all issues and things we're going to keep watching, but just want to kind of keep you abreast of what's going on in the real estate market.